Hello, everyone. Hello. Happy to be back and let's talk with Dr. Greg. Thank you all for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for all that you have done to help this channel to grow. I am indebted because without your support, there's not a whole lot we can do. So continue to subscribe to the channel. If you like the content, you can share it. You can recommend it to someone as well, because that's the best thing you can do for us is to make a positive recommendation. For some of you who are new to the channel, I do recommend that you take a look at the Akeem Bloomfield video and the Tyson Gay video. These two videos are doing great. These will be classics, so I don't want you to ignore it. Please take the time and see what you can learn. Very inspirational, both videos. Also, next week in studio, we have Chris Taylor. Some lucky fan requested last week that they wanted to see Chris Taylor, and I reached out to him, and he is looking forward to be on the show next week. You don't want to miss this one as well. Also, as we continue to grow, as I said, do not hesitate to subscribe. We have a Christmas special for you. I'm just putting it out there so you know, because I don't want you to miss it. But we're going to go straight into the interview, because the first time I saw Craig Butler speak, I was very impressed with what he was saying. Because at some point too, I found myself in a situation where I was fighting for a group of athletes who couldn't fight for themselves. And when you find individuals like a Craig Butler, who is willing to put everything on the line to make a point, to help those who are not able to help themselves, you must respect what he is doing. Now, here is the sad truth about what he is doing, that sometimes when you are challenging a system that is broken, even the people who are in the system that you're trying to represent, they might not even readily accept the change. But I see what he's doing. I am happy that he took the invitation to be a special guest on the show, and I will continue to support him and others like him who continue to put everything on the line for the vulnerable population of athletes that we talk about. But without any further delay, we are going to do a quick introduction to let you know who Craig Butler is, and then we are going to go straight into the interview. Let's go.
No. That's what I ask you about your father, if you thought love. And do say one thing and grow. And once him grow as a striker, him have everything. Welcome.
Craig Butler, a father, a coach, a manager, and an agent. A man who is determined to implement change that will have a positive impact on young and developing football players who need the opportunity and a sense of direction in their lives. Despite the pushback from various main executive bodies, Craig remains passionate about making a change, a positive change, and is committed to see his vision to the end. With his knowledge and foresight, Craig will never give in to the naysayers who believe that organized and strategic football in Jamaica is not attainable at the highest level without the intervention of foreigners. When no one believed in his idea that homegrown talent and skills can be developed and nurtured to perfection, to prove everyone wrong, Craig patiently created the Phoenix Football Academy. To date, young and talented football players around the Caribbean can now find a place where they can be mentally and physically conditioned
to take on the rest of the world. So it is with great pleasure to present to you a man who has single-handedly taken on many formidable opponents who lack the knowledge and the will to implement change. Welcome to the stage, none other than head coach, manager, and mentor, Craig Butler.
Hello, Craig. Welcome to Let's Talk. It's a pleasure to have you on the program. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, well,
Continue
you
doing the
know,
great work you're doing.
well, I want to commend you on the great work that you are doing. When you come on this program, it's not about me. It's really about you because your story is one that really caught my eye. And I truly admire the energy, the commitment, the dedication, and the will to keep on pushing on, even with all the criticism and naysayers. I wish you all the best. It is a custom on our platform, Craig, that before the actual interview starts, our guests get a chance to shout out to whomever they please or to promote anything they desire. Is there anyone you would like to acknowledge on the show?
Well, I just want to acknowledge all my sons and the efforts they're making. They've been through many challenges. Leon is now dealing with a thigh injury, which keeps recurring. Kyle has shown he's come back home and you know saw the error of his actions. All of my boys that are out there, my children, the kids of the Phoenix, keep trying, keep going, and all those of you who have made the next step. We're in Malta, in England, Australia, Germany, Belgium, all kids from Jamaica. Proud of them. Keep going.
Mhm.
Ciao.
All right. Appreciate that. You know, it really takes someone who cares to be doing so much, Greg. And I really admire that. So thanks again. For me, I personally wanted to know a whole lot about you, and I'm sure your subscribers and your fans, my subscribers and my fans, want to know a little bit more about you as well. So please tell us, what parish in Jamaica are you from, and what high school did you attend in Jamaica?
I was actually born at Maxfield Medical Center in Kingston. St. Andrew Kingston is the same thing to me, really. I went to Jamaica College, and yeah, that's love JC, one of the, if not the greatest school in this region. So very happy to be a Jamaica College student, and it's a pleasure.
Excellent. I have a lot of JC friends. I run track, so you know the Rudolph Mighty, the Carl McPherson, and all those guys.
Yeah,
I still keep in touch,
yeah.
especially with Rudolph Mighty. So I am a big fan. In fact, a best friend of mine also attend JC, and I see what you're doing too with the Pepsi team. I see where a lot of their young players are from your academy. So continue. Much respect for JC in the house. In your words, Craig, what caliber of football player would you say you were in high school? What position did you play? And you know, most Jamaican is going to ask you, what number did you wear? Because it's symbolic in a lot of ways.
Yeah, well, for me, I began as a left back in Money Cup in my first 2 years. Then I went on to play central in that. So I was a sweeper. Back then you had sweepers, so I was a sweeper and orchestrated our team. I had a number that I was in the number 4 position. Number 4 was the number I wore. And yeah, I love Jason and played some good football. As a footballer, I believe I could have gone all the way, had I gotten the support guidance that is needed when you're a young footballer and when you're good in Jamaica. There's so many obstacles, so many distractions that are out there as a young kid. And for me, my dad lived in New York, and he wasn't there, so I had to rely heavily on coaches who were there for me. Jimmy Sinclair, a Manning Cup coach, Bradley Stewart, Mark Mendel, David Wagga Hunt from Ed Haven, and they were really there for me, guided me along the way. I could have gone all the way, but I damaged my knee in my third year of Manning Cup. I damaged my knee, and I played through the last year with basically 1 foot, and then it was never the same. When you get a bad knee injury as a footballer, you tend to not come back, especially back then. So I would only have gotten to maybe 80% of what I was before. But at that time in Jamaica, the idea of the game was more of a keep calm, let's bounce it, knock it game. And I was a very fast, because I used to the track team. I was very fast and very direct, so I would overlap down the left wing, make the crosses. I think in 86 and 84, almost 90% of our goals came from my overlapping, crossing, and the great Richard Patco McDonald is finishing them, So you have to add the great to his name. He was one of the best strikers Jamaica's ever produced. And in fact, to wear the number 11 shirt, which is a number cover wear, you have to be a player that can carry the whole team on your back. It's a very coveted number in Phoenix.
So. If you were around back then, you must have heard of the pad cover. As a little boy, man, I grew up thinking about the pad cover, because everywhere we travel, people tell you about the great pad cover, because he was great from in high school. I have a good friend who used to play for JC as well, after your time, and he used to say that and we didn't even realize that the only time he had a meal was for the Manning Cup training, because his parents couldn't afford it, and he just looked forward to playing soccer, because most of the time he was hungry, but because he would get the stuff from the management team, it was very helpful. So I do understand what you mean when you said the support that you needed, because sometimes people need the various types, the psychological, sometimes people need the supplementary food, and this is why I appreciate what you are doing.
It's even more than that. It has a lot to do with the guidance, the decisions that you make as a young man. Many of us young footballers at the time, your girls would be really excited about dating you, and they always say you can't put milk up puss mouth. And us young guys that back then didn't have anybody saying to us, listen, be careful, don't, relax, focus on your career. That will come later. And I remember, at least 3 guys on the Manning Cup team, not me, but at least 3 guys on my Manning Cup team had children while playing.
Wow.
And had that responsibility of having to take care of a child while you're in school. So that stress really, people don't understand the real importance of a good manager in football, and good role models that are going to, mentors that are going to be there for those boys, because talent is one thing, the discipline to carry you through, and the knowledge of good and evil in the sport is sometimes a gray area that guidance is needed.
One of the things that is kind of surprising to me is that since some of the vulnerable population that I talk about, whether it's track and field or soccer, football, that more scholarship opportunities not granted to some of the football players. Because for me, it was a way out of Seaview Gardens to get an opportunity to go overseas. And I think that would be depend on the situation. But I was watching an interview with you and I saw where you said you got a scholarship, a football scholarship to attend Pace University. Did I hear correct or did I misunderstand what
Yes,
you?
I went to Pace University on the Pleasantville campus in upstate New York. So it was a very good experience. Did my business degree and also played for the school at the time. And I got I got All American status. My first year and continued. But it was funny. I didn't play central defender or wing back at the time. I played center forward all my college years. And even after high school in Jamaica, I actually played forward because I had now built up so much strength from being able to run from the left back, the whole left flank, because we played with no left winger when I was at JC. I ran the whole left flank up and down. That when the time came, I went to play for a man called Mark Mendel, who built the first professional football team in Jamaica called Swallowfield. And he got myself and Pod Cover from JC and all the top players, Peter Cargill, Anthony Carbet, all the best players then in Jamaica went and played for that team, Swallowfield. And eventually I ended up being a striker simply because I could run really hard, knew how to read the game, and I could finish. One thing I could do was shoot. I could shoot. So I got that opportunity and it continued all the way through my college years.
Excellent. When I got my scholarship and I went to Central Arizona, it was like a culture shock for me. A lot of stuff that I wasn't really prepared to address. Talk to me in a comparative sense from a Jamaican high school system of play in terms of organizational structure and level of discipline versus the college system that you went into. What were the differences and how was your transition into a new cold environment?
Well, it was the cold was very difficult. New York, when New York is cold, it's really cold. Luckily, I had reunited with my dad, so he was around at that time, and we were able to spend a lot of good times together. But the system of discipline, it's. I went to JC, so at JC the discipline was pretty strong back then. The camaraderie was good. What I was not prepared to deal with was the, the, the the racism that was there, and it wasn't a situation because I was just not used to it. I didn't believe I belonged over that side or over that side. I was just a Jamaican, and I was almost forced to make a choice, and I refused to. I refused to make a choice. I refused to be anything than out of many one people, and it kept with me. I've kept that with me from day one. I am very proud of my country. I'm very proud of the values that we have in terms of really being just a melting pot. And I'm looking forward to when the whole world will be like that. We all have our challenges in our country in Jamaica. And, one of the things that it has prepared me for is to be able to deal with people from different countries, different cultures, different races, and to respect and accept those races and how they operate, and not be in a position where, oh, well, I'm against them or against that. No, I'm not. I'm a Jamaican, true and true.
Well, it's funny though, because if your mind is not conditioned, I've seen athletes who come over to the States and they fall victims to the things that you just described. But did that affect your college career in terms of performance in any way?
No, not at all. I think what was the biggest challenge was just being able to be responsible for yourself. I think that's a challenge that most people have, having to say no to parties, no to, you're in your fraternity, and the fraternity say, come, let's go out and drink, and you have a game the next day, and that self-discipline, many people lose it you know, the freshman 15-pounder where you end up putting on weight because you just eat so much food that you're not used to. You know, you're not. I remember I got my meal card, and when I got my meal card, I had a certain amount of money on it. I didn't know it wasn't unlimited. You
Yeah.
know, so I ate ice cream, Ben and Jerry's. But luckily I was training hard, so I didn't gain too much weight, and I was able to perform and focus. The loneliness kills you though. The
Yes.
loneliness,
Yes.
the missing of families, and the missing of our way of life. Sorry, our way of life in Jamaica. You know, where you're chilling and you have your friends, and you know, you go out and you do things together. A lot of that wasn't there. That loneliness. It's not to say that there wasn't opportunities to have other friends or to build new relationships, but that missing of our Jamaican ackee and saltfish, and granny cooking on the weekend, and I remember all of those things, and I actually made sure to make a note of it, so that when I started to coach and develop players, I made sure they could cook everything that they liked. So yeah, so that they would, because that is the I don't know about you, but the main reason I found that players get homesick is because they miss the food. Once they can cook their own food, and they can cook the ackee and saltfish, or them can cook the Sunday evening rice and peas and chicken, they'll be all right, you know. And
You
they're
know,
independent, and that's key.
I am laughing because I could cook the regular dumpling and whatever to go with the dumpling. But I remember when I was in Arizona, I had to send home for recipe because I wanted some stew peas and I wanted some other dish. So that's why I laugh, because I'm saying we can't eat dumpling for so long, and we can't eat other little things for so long. But at some point, you want that taste in your mouth to make you at least take off some of the pressure. You know what I want to do? I want those who are watching to know more about you, because sometimes people may see you doing things, saying things, and they don't understand that you too have that lived experience, and that lived experience help you to understand more where you may not choose to compromise in situation. You also play professional football here in the US. You play for a team in
Yeah.
Florida. In all your years of playing football throughout your career, what did you learn, and how much did you learn about the sport overall?
You know, when I left Jamaica, I thought I knew a lot about football, and I realized that I didn't. I didn't know anything. I didn't even know 2% what I needed to know. And so, one of the things that I tried to do was to learn from other people. And I remember I was at the Fort Lauderdale Lions and Fort Lauderdale Strikers, and I was playing and growing and learning from so many different people from so many different countries, and the tactics of the game, the development of the game, the need to develop, both feet, for example, both sides of the pitch, the need to develop coachability in a player. All of those things came to me from when I became a footballer myself, and living in that world. We tend to, you have a saying, you have children that are brought up, and you have children that are dragged up. We tend
True.
to drag up our footballers in Jamaica. Yeah, like you say, boy, he wasn't brought properly, you know, and basically taught, the basics of how to carry yourself, how to function in the world. And you have kids who are just, left to their own devices, and however they turn out, then that's great. So I was one that wanted to make sure I learned the value of what's called a good football education. And it has a lot to do with not just on the pitch, but off the pitch. How to become coachable, how to be adaptable, how to to carry yourself as a professional, as a role model. The systems that people use and why they use them, how different countries and cultures use their genetic strengths in the sport. For example, Spain has very small people. They're not big, but they're pretty quick over 20 meters, So they play tiki-taka football, they pass, use possession, wear you down, and then score. Germans are very big, strong, disciplined people, so that's how their game is. The Belgians went and recreated, they did what's called a total recreation of their football culture based off the way their genetics change. Because, Belgium started to have a lot of Africans come into their country through the Congo and the atrocities that happened there. Belgium is the only, I think, one of the few countries that a minor cannot be deported. Yeah. So what would happen is you had a lot of people coming from Africa coming to live in Belgium, and so the genetics of the country actually changed. So you ended up with players that were big, strong, but physical, and they didn't qualify for a World Cup, and they wanted to become more creative, using the new speed that they now had in their gene pool, and they created the golden generation of football. I remember the template that they had because I was there at the time, and they removed score lines from 16 years old down. No one won a competition, and they encouraged kids to become more creative and to dribble and to take on. They implemented a system where skill sets were being taught to every single school, club, academy, and it was mandated that they all had to do it. They ended up with the Kevin De Bruyne, the Benteke, the Courtois, the Company, and all of those top players, the Toure brothers, all coming out of Belgium. And I recognized back then that, hey, how come they're all doing all of this and they're becoming greater and better? Their players are being exported for millions and millions of dollars to the big clubs. And we are the fastest human beings in the world. And we are only qualifying for the World Cup one time. And we're not getting anybody homegrown that is sold in the professional market. So how can I fix this? And that's where I came about looking at what our genes are, realizing we're fast, we're strong, we're intelligent. Jamaicans are some of the most intelligent human beings, We've achieved a lot, Creativity, wow. Look at our music. That the first, you're a doctor, the first open heart surgery was done by a Jamaican janitor.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yes.
And eventually there's a statue to him. Now, look at that. So, why is it that when a German comes to Jamaica, we're playing German football? When a Brazilian comes to Jamaica, we're playing Brazilian football. Why have we not identified what our brand of football should be and implement it? I think Jamaica works with the just-in-time inventory. You ever heard that from a business standpoint? You don't really need to invest in storing goods, so you don't buy the goods and put them down to store. You just get it as you need it. Yeah, you just pay some money, bring it in, and sell it. And that's how our football fraternity operates. They don't develop, they recruit. Yeah. And when you recruit, you're recruiting people that are coming with an education from all over the world, different educations, and you create a Tower of Babel. You remember the story in the Bible?
Definitely.
You remember that story in the Bible, the Tower of Babel?
Yes, with a lot of people,
Where
different
They were trying to
languages
build
and different, yeah.
the tower to reach the heaven, and God said, "Okay, we're going." Yeah, He called them, so they all spoke different languages, so nobody could communicate with each other. So the building stopped. That's what's happening with our Jamaican football. We have people coming from every different place. Think about it. Leon Bailey is coming now from Aston Villa, from Leverkusen, and from Genk. Each of those play a different system of football. Mikel Antonio is coming from West Ham. They play a different system of football. That's what their coach demands. You have less than 7 days to put a team together, and you put people on the pitch that they all don't understand how each other play.
We are freezing up a little bit. Can you hear me, Craig? We are having some internet issues here, but we will continue. And hopefully the signal can come back pretty soon. But I hope the listeners are understanding what Craig is saying, that everybody is doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Right. So I'm saying what would be better is if we had a system that we developed from the youth up, so that when those players went away to play for different clubs in different countries, they would, and they're called back to Jamaica to play, they would remember this is how we play.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So it's like if you grew up with a track coach, let me try and put it in your ideas. When you come back and that track coach is coaching you, and you come to run for his track team, you know exactly he wants you to receive the baton that way. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And so you do it. It's no problem. So, because when you look at international managers, because that's what they call them, they're not coaches.
Mm-hmm.
They're managers or technical directors. They're managing players that are complete already. So you don't need to coach, you just need to manage. And so I've found that has been a big challenge in Jamaica. And to compromise what I know to be right, to be politically correct, is not helping the country. So although I know that I'm a pariah to many and they don't necessarily like me, I know they didn't like Jesus either. I know they didn't like Martin Luther King or Medgar Evers or Malcolm X or Nelson Mandela. And I would never want to believe that I could even think of walking in those guys' shoes. But I can follow their example and be strong about it.
So when you sat down with a couple of these guys then and you tried to share your vision with them, this was something new to them. So I think, in my own opinion, maybe they did not fully understand what you're saying, but how challenging was it? Because I assume you brought forth the Phoenix Academy because you saw that there was a void and a better way to do things. How challenging was it to bring about the academy to life? And did you struggle at any time with funding in order to make your dream a reality?
Struggling with funding, struggled with everything. My first wife left me because she didn't see the dream. My whole, I had to leave my job at the time, and no one understood or believed why I would put down job as head of Toshiba to go on and guide young men. And so a lot of people thought I was crazy, but I saw what I saw and know what I needed to do. When we went to Europe, it was horrible, literally. We had to live off tuna, one tin of tuna for 4 people, and struggling in the cold, one jacket. When you look back on all of what we had to go through, it was worth it because now where Jamaicans are starting to believe that we can become pros and grown in Jamaica. And but not just that, the European countries are starting to believe that there's talent here and that
Yes.
there's enough discipline here that we can be coachable. The examples that we had before of players who may have had opportunities was not very good, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So now when they see a Leon Bailey and the discipline, or you know, the rest of the academy players that went overseas and did well, they recognize that the Phoenix is top, and
For real.
Jamaican is a good play. Jamaica is a good place to go. So, you know, even now, Phoenix is ranked as one of the top academies in the world of football.
Wow.
Yeah, and Phoenix Sports Management, which manages our players, is number 19th in the world.
Excellent.
When there are millions of agents out there, and us little Jamaica is number 19. So if we're not dead and gone, I'm kind of proud that we get to this level, and we have made sure that there's a succession plan. Phoenix
Mhm.
can never die. That's our motto. And you know, I raised my daughter. My daughter, you know, my daughter, she's 15 years old now, Casey, and she has um, 15 years experience in the
Mhm.
sport. She's been at every football game from the day she born.
Mm.
She knows all the big agents in the world, the Penny Zahavi, the George Mendes, the Rudy Vuller. She has been to all the big stadiums and walked out in the stadiums, in Leverkusen Stadium, in Malta, in France, and been acknowledged. And she knows the game so well,
Mhm.
and she has the loyalty of the next generation. So you
Excellent.
you have guys like that are, you know, 15, 16 now, and they all grew up with Casey. And she now she's the youngest. I think she's probably the youngest assistant coach ever in the history of Manning Cup.
Wow.
Yeah, so she's now
Excellent.
15 years old, assistant manager of the Manning Cup team at Mona High, and she's really doing a great job. And, you know, so I know that will continue on. You know.
Mhm. I am a strong believer, Craig, that for any athletic program such as the one that you're building, to be a future solution for any group of athletes, the administrators must first develop and implement a system to solve the specific issues being faced by the athletes currently and for the future needs. What strategy do you employ to ensure your system at Phoenix Academy is ever changing to cater to the needs of your athletes?
Well, one of the things that we have done is we've made sure that they're educated, because you know, education is the key to success. Knowledge is power, and we have also ensured that they've consistently been exposed to what their counterparts and the rest of the world is doing. We've been to Germany. 2019 went to Belgium, Germany, played Genk, beat them, KRC Genk, the champions of Belgium at the time, and one of the top youth academies in the world. We beat them. We played Leverkusen, and we had a tie with their U17s. We went to Spain. We just finished a tour of England, and we're continuously going up. We beat the champions, FA Cup U19 champions of England, Aston Villa. We beat the league champions, Crystal Palace, and we played several other professional teams, and we won all our games. So it's really ensuring that the continuum is there, and the discipline is there, the culture that exists continues. My people don't know my greatest strength is that my executive is my parents. If you don't, if you're not a part of Phoenix with a child from the beginning, you cannot be an executive at Phoenix. So you have to have a vested interest. You have to actually care about the kids. And when you look how Phoenix operates, we have, you know, our assistant manager Nicola Bicknell. She's there every game, and you know, she's from a very good, strong, wealthy background in Jamaica, but she's there taping every kid's foot, making sure. I was laughing to myself the other day because one of the kids had his foot up on her thigh, and she was taping his ankle before the game, you know. And so you have so many people, that have come together from different socioeconomic backgrounds to make this dream a reality for our country. And I believe that if people were to follow the example of Phoenix, Jamaica really wouldn't have no problem with them. None at all, across the board. Because you have, we have doctors in Phoenix that provide free service. Yeah? Now think of this as math, right? If you're a doctor and you provide free medical service to 30 kids, yeah? You're a doctor, right?
Yes.
So if you do the free service for the 30 kids, but their family comes to you as well, yeah,
See the numbers.
you now gain 6 to 7 to 10 new clients that pay and are going to be loyal to you because you support their youth. So this is how we operate at Phoenix. We have police officers that just love the academy and support us and are there at the training, and so we have security all the time.
Okay.
We have people. We partner with Bona High School, who has a great principal, Kevin Jones, and he is understanding. And this is where the big problem is that has happened in the history of schoolboys in Jamaica. When Leon and Kyle came back to Jamaica at 15 years old to wait until they were of age to sign a professional contract, they needed to go to a school. And when they went to the school, I remember the supervisor said, they're coming to school, the usual. They're coming to school for an academic education, and football is an extracurricular activity. So all they're going to do is to make sure they're focused on their academics, and I don't want to hear too much about the football. So Gregory, at that point, I said to her, do you know that sports is the highest paid profession in the world? And football is the highest paid sport. So my sons are coming to school to get an education to support their profession of football. And right now, my sons have a contract with Nike that's worth X, and they have to maintain that particular image in how they dress and carry themselves, so you won't have any problems. She didn't get it, but a few years later, she came back to me and she said, Craig, I understand now, because Leon can speak 5 to 6 languages. He can read and write in them, and it has helped him a lot in his career. And today he's making good money as a professional. Meanwhile, so many of the other kids that went through the school didn't get that full, complete education. Because there was now unification of purpose between the teachers in the school and the sporting body. It was separate. And it happens all the time. I don't know if you had that problem when you were in school, right? The school you went to when you were here?
I went to Excelsior.
All right. When you went to Excelsior, you never find 1 or 2 teachers that don't like sports people.
Definitely.
And just give you a hard time.
Definitely.
Yeah? And you would have the one-off teacher that would have just give a little support to help you with a little schoolwork or whatever. Because you need to understand, genius in one area, something has to give, So if you are a genius in one area, something may give, right? I am brilliant, if I may say so myself, at coaching, development, loving the kids, making sure everything go right, leadership, entrepreneurship, negotiation, all of those things. But I can't remember nothing. I cannot remember anything. I don't know where I put my keys. I don't remember what time is trained. I didn't even remember what time we had this interview. And I have a staff that walks behind me. Before this interview started, Brandon came on the interview to make sure I was on the interview. He's my assistant. Simply because they recognize that, hey, that's the deficiency. But we're not going to try and force him to remember everything. We're going to use his strengths that he has and back him up. And that's where I think that the challenge is happening in schoolboy football. We have this kid named Tyreek McGee. When you talk about a good football education, this kid won Manning Cup, Olivia Shield, everything, and he could only use his left foot. When he went on a contract in Belgium, he could not use his right, and the game became more technical now, so they watched it, recognized that he couldn't use the right so well, so all they did was block the left side and give him the right, and his game was gone. Yeah? So came to us, we work with him, we now manage him, we work on him hard till the right foot becomes good. The ability to play both sides of the pitch is now top. And he became one of Jamaica's top players in the attacking midfield. I don't know if you have known this kid, but he's prolific, and in time you'll see him. So that's what we do, and I try my best to keep doing the same things, making sure that there's a future for football, making sure that after I'm gone. I remember, I don't know if you know David Hunt, Wagga.
Yeah, man, I know David.
I was Wagga's first championship team in minor league under 17 as the captain of his team. First team ever win a trophy with. And it hurt me. When I say hurt me, I mean burned me to the core to see what happened to his club, Medhaven. The minute Wagga died, the club died with him. He did not have the infrastructure to ensure that it continued. And so one of the things I did was I made sure, and he died right about the time when Leon and Kyle were still playing under 13. So it gave me enough time to really cement the future of Phoenix. So when our thing, we have bucketed. People believe when they see me that Craig Butler is Phoenix. I just go to Phoenix in the evenings now and coach sometimes, or drink my liquor Pepsi that I love to drink and give trouble. Just give trouble the whole evening, trouble the kids, trouble everybody, and have fun because we have coaches. We're partnered with Mona High School. So we play Manning Cup. We have 8 coaches that coach at Phoenix, that coach at Mona High School. And the other day we went to a game and they said, you're only allowed to have 8 officials because we had 12. Yeah? Doctor, this, that. And it's not people that come on and jump on the bandwagon. These were people that were developed. The coaches were players at Phoenix when they were kids. Grew up and turned professionals, come back and they're coaching. The physios are moms. The manager is the daughter, Casey. So it's unbelievable what people can do if they work together. And that's the biggest problem we have in our country. They don't like to work together. Everybody wants to be the leader. Everybody wants to be the boss.
Well, you know why I asked you, and as I say, I'm a strong supporter of what you do because I understand the power of group dynamics in every way. This is a fact that a lot of the athletes that are playing for most clubs, high schools, even in track and field, that they are fatherless. And in a recent interview, I was listening to you and you said that you grew up without a father. And the reason why I asked the question, because I know that it is important to have young people being guided the right way, especially when they don't have a father. And I don't know if this is true, but I was told that you are in total control of the Mona Manning Cup team, where the guys live with you and you make sure that everything is solid. Talk to us about the lack of father and the misstep that some of these youth would make, and how you integrate that into what Phoenix is doing to make sure that even though they don't have a father present in their lives, that they are still able to get some of the advantages that one would have when they have parents' involvement.
Well, David John Eddie Layton, Odell Richards, Dwight. So many other fathers have come in. And one of the things that we have done is we work together as a team to ensure that these kids have the proper guidance, you know. Yes, once COVID had kicked in, I adopted 23 kids in the first batch, you know. So we have 23, well, 22, because one is still here. 23 players that are now playing professionally in Europe. Yeah, from that first batch. From the second batch, when COVID was about to hit, they had been coming, and you know, my home has been like a Grand Central station, because who don't have a home come to my house and they stay here. And when COVID was about to hit, we just move everybody in and we continue to train, because you can train as a family, yeah? And we train together. We started to utilize even the internet on Instagram, and we put up the training session so everybody could follow at home, so the rest of the academy was okay. But with the kids from Mona, you know, one of the things that I found is that confidence and belief in self is very lacking, especially when you don't go to what they consider traditional high school. And it really bothered me a lot, this term, the traditional high schools, because it made other kids feel as if they were less than good enough. And so I went about making sure that they didn't feel that way. Provided them with all the best tools, best training equipment, best coaches, attention, um, helping them with the learning to read and write properly, helping them to get through the process, and working with a principal at Mona that is really dedicated to that. This guy Kevin Jones. You know, if there was anything, the name Mr. Jones, you know, you always have a principal named Mr. Jones. He really fit the part. You know, this principal is the type of principal that comes out and trains with the boys. You know, he walks around, he guides and gives a lot of guidance. Eddie Layton, who is an educator and the VP at Phoenix, also does it. His son is brilliant. When I say brilliant, I mean this kid could have gone to any high school he chose, you know, and he chose to go to Mona High, you know, and that meant a lot. When he started to, you see the players now, they're walking with their chest out, they're confident, they know that they're going to be somebody, yeah. It could be a professional footballer, but it could just it is more important to be a professional, period, you know. And so we're seeing that, we're seeing the efforts that the boys are making and the parents are making, and we have made. I've had a lot of good family support from my end too. My entire family is a football family, you know, from my other half going all the way right down to my youngest child, Casey. You know, we're all vested into it. You know, we're dedicated to Jamaica. You know, Mona is a microcosm of what I want to see the other schools be and do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm using Mona as the example. This is how you carry yourself. This is how you treat your team. This is how you nurture them. And so, and this is how you play the system that I'm talking about. You know, the system, for example, is one that utilizes speed, skill, strength, creativity, right, and intelligence. And you find we're utilizing it, and for the first time in probably, or maybe the second time in the history of the school, the Mona is just once here away from qualifying for the quarterfinals in the Monaco. And it's the first time in the history that they've actually beaten what they call a traditional high school. They beat Wolmer's the other day. So it says a lot. And a lot of people may not want to break down these borders, but in order for us to really be a unified Jamaica and to give everybody a chance, we really need to look at a Mona, a JC, a Bridgeport, a Papine High School as all places of learning that we need to educate the kids equally and give them equal opportunities and equal respect. And that's what we're doing.
You see, Craig, it takes a man like you to break down all barriers. And this is something that we need because too many people today are taking the safe path, the comfortable path, where they would see injustice and they see the talent go astray. Now, in Jamaica and around the Caribbean, when it comes to talent, there is no doubt. There is a lot of talent, and you talk about managing the talent. And one of the things I think why we are falling short is because we focus mainly on the physical aspect of things. You're changing that right now. And I can tell you that as a former Olympian, I understand that through developing the mental aspect of one's game, the physical manifestation would be much glorious. I strongly believe that. I don't see enough coaches emphasizing mental training right now. Why is this not a norm in Jamaica in 2021? And you can tell us, do you apply the mental training to your group of guys to make sure that they get that competitive edge?
Consistently. Consistently, we do it. You know, what you have to look at is how many coaches in Jamaica have a university education? How many have actually finished high school? How many have been educated in where the mecca of football is, in Europe? We have had coaches here being qualified by the same people that coached me when those people left Jamaica. So if the coaches were certifying, if the coaches were certifying, the younger coaches here in Jamaica have never left Jamaica to be certified anywhere else, how can these young coaches be properly educated?
True. So true.
Is dinosaurs coaching dinosaurs?
So true.
When I left Jamaica, you know, yes, I took the boys on a trek, but I was educated in Austria. Then I did 2 years on what's called a practicum at KRC Genk, where I was coaching along with the coaches there. 6 months at Bayern Munich, a year at Trenčín in Slovakia. I was the first president of a European football club in Malta, and I also coached the team there. So I have my European A license. So I have been educated. So when I speak, I can speak from a position of knowledge. The problem is when I'm trying to speak to other coaches, I'm finding that many of them are putting up resistance. And I really came to the conclusion, why? I have a player, Gregory, that came into our system. He went through a school called YMCA, and then, you know, they do the grade 9 achievement, and they get placed in a school. Well, I started to deal with this player, and I realized the player can't read and write properly. Can barely spell cat. And I also realized there's a correlation between that player being able to execute directives and play to the system that we ask him to play. And that's because he's not properly educated. So when you look at how some of the coaches here are being treated, what Jamaica needs to do is to start to send away our young coaches to Belgium, Germany, Holland, France, to be seconded in some of the clubs so that they can also learn systems, learn how they develop their players, learn how they manage, even from the management of injuries and that type of thing. And then we will have a better opportunity to have coaches that will grow and not necessarily give resistance to what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like you're in the jungle, bro. It's like you're in the jungle sometimes and you're out there and nobody understands.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to lead, nobody wants to follow.
Yeah.
And it's sad, you know. I mean, when you look at how I operate, yes, I'm coaching, but even in Manning Cup, when I'm coaching, at halftime, 4 different coaches speak before I speak. 4 different coaches. We have a defensive coach, we have a coach that work with the midfielders, a coach that work with the strikers, a coach that work with the goalkeepers. And then I put in my 2 cents because we're a team. And I
Definitely.
do not feel intimidated by other coaches because I know and I'm confident in who I am.
Definitely.
That is where the problem is. Fear is a horrible thing, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Understand.
horrible thing.
You know, the culture, the good old boys clubs, the culture of politics has stained our football federation. These are the same good old boys who are fighting against something you made it very clear that they are ignorant to cause and effect. And this culture has had a major impact that has affected numerous players, too many to mention. How can we change this culture regarding selecting the appropriate players that rightfully earn their spot to represent their country?
Here's the problem. You remember Leon was said to be an ordinary player while Leon was dominating the Belgian Premier League, and he was not called for Jamaica's under 20 by the technical director then of the GFF, and he was also the technical director of a local club in Jamaica. The big problem we have with all of these things is that you have so many people that are, one, not too sharp about the sport, two, not willing to allow players who are not necessarily from their club or their clique to play, and three, angry and jealous at anybody who seems to be a little bit further ahead than them, you know. I mean, I'm looking at my wall and I see where I went to Bayern Munich and met Karl-Heinz Rummenigge. I don't think I said I offered any information to Mr. Rummenigge other than to ask questions and listen because I wanted to learn, you know. In our country, we don't have that a lot. And I think what we have to do now is to educate our coaches on the importance of being certified in other countries. Because if you're just a big fish in a small fish tank, when you get thrown into the ocean with the sharks, which is international football, you're going to get eaten. And no matter how good you think you are, you're going to get eaten. How qualified is our current national coach? Our current national coach, how qualified is he? How educated is he? He's going to be playing against all these different countries. Has he actually learned anything other than playing the sport? Does he know systems? Does he even recognize that there's a challenge?
Definitely, I understand
And
clearly.
you can't blame him. You have to blame the people who did not educate him. You know, corporate Jamaica, I believe, and our wider population in different countries, I believe are more than willing to help if they feel that what you're doing makes sense and you're really not just trying to get money out of their pockets to put it in yours, but you're trying to develop. Why not try and push people like Tapper when they're not? For instance, he's had a break. He's going to have a break for 2 months. Why we don't send Tapper to Belgium to be seconded to KRC Genk and just sit on the bench or go to training every day with them and watch how they coach? You know? Why not send our youth coaches to Bayern Munich or to Leverkusen or one of those clubs to learn? It's not going to cost more than a plane ticket. And I'm sure that if you really push out, there are people out there who will be willing and able to get those contacts that can give it a chance. I know people. I can pick up my phone and make a call and get somebody to go on a practicum. But ego and hubris is what governs our country's football. Ego and hubris. You know? Ego being you think you know better than everybody else, so you won't swallow your pride and try and listen. And hubris, meaning that thinking you're so great that you're beyond any form of weakness.
Yeah.
So that's my 2 cents, really.
Well, you know, the ego is a major issue that we have because what the ego has done, it has created a culture where we put the athletes on the lower totem pole. And the ego is so dangerous because it is overlooking talent. And one of the things I find on my journey is that some of the coaches and the managers and even the individuals within the governing bodies, they see themselves above the athletes as if they're doing us a favor or they're doing the athletes a favor. And to me, this is laughable. And I hope people can see how ridiculous it is to see that everyone is earning from the athletes, but yet still they're not giving them that level of respect that they deserve. Because when you look in the other countries, it is clear that the athletes are the prize and they are treated as such, not in Jamaica. So why do you think, Craig, this mentality persist among our people, and what can we do to fix this?
Hmm. I asked myself that question and I went really deep in finding the answers. Jamaica was one during the triangular trade route during slavery. Jamaica was one of the the first stops, and those captured people who were on that leg of the route, which was 3 months, were kept like this in a very small space and fed very little, and were in a position where they were emaciated, yet those who were consistently still trying to fight to get away, they were dropped off first in Jamaica. And so you have to look at the qualities that happened over a period of over 100 years. And you have to look at the qualities that it would take to survive for 3 months on a slave ship with no food and all sorts of atrocities happening to you, and still being mentally strong enough to want to fight to get away. So you physically had to be strong, you mentally had to be strong and unwilling to take it. And if you drop off that same gene over this long period of time, you end up creating a people that are stronger. And if you look at how Jamaica's geography is, we have the highest mountain range in the Caribbean, walking right through the spine of the country. So anywhere in Jamaica, you're going up a hill or down a hill. You don't even notice it. And so what ends up happening is you're constantly training. You're training that powerful gene. Then came indentured workers and different people from different countries, the Irish potato famine, Irish came, the Redfoots, that's what they would call them. The Indians came, industry, the Chinese came. So when that mix started to blend in, you created a new breed of human being, faster than everybody else, but also carrying that same little gene that said, listen, you can't tell me what to do. And if everybody's saying you can't tell me what to do, nobody's listening.
True.
And so we have, when you look at the sports that Jamaica's been great in, individual track and field races, cricket, because cricket tends to have individual jobs within it. But anytime you look at a team that requires a lot of coordination and systems and organization, like football, we don't do well. You know, recently our Jamaican reggae girls have started to do a lot better, even now, than how our men's team is doing. They're ranked higher. They don't train more. I don't think they're probably physically that much better. What they have though is they're willing to listen.
Mm-hmm.
They're willing to listen to the coach, and the coach is willing to listen to other people. So for us as a nation, we just need to. I mean, everybody can't be the leader. People said to me, Craig, would you want to become the coach of the national team? From time to time, I've toyed with the idea, but in truth and fact, I'm doing exactly what I need to do for my country in the position that I need to do it. I'm a good manager. I'm able to make sure I take care of my players, and I'm good at developing talent and getting them where they need to go. And for me, set the template that they can all follow, and hope that I took on this thing with Money Cup not because I need a job or because I really I'm a fan of schoolboy football. I'm not in the least, because I think schoolboy football holds back too many players when they're past the age where they should leave to go and try and become professionals. But I did it to be able to show an example of how you can develop players and how you can have systems and how you should treat your players. And they're either going to say, listen, we better change and start, do the right thing, or Craig Butler going to get all the young players out of Jamaica and they're going to go straight into Mona Manning Cup, and then they're going to leave from Mona and then go to Brookhouse in England, and then they're going to go into professional football and we won't get one good player here. Either that or you're going to have to step up. And I think that's what's happening. When you look at, the JCs of this world, they're stepping up. They're stepping up in how they train. They're stepping up in, how can you, Gregory, think about this. The mecca of football is Europe.
Mm-hmm.
That's where all the contracts are for football. That's where you get paid. All the kids that are training in the clubs and academies in Europe are training for 11 and a half months a year. Yeah? And incorporated into that training is the academics, the football, the moral and social responsibility, the mental training. Yeah? They're training for 11 and a half months a year. But us Jamaicans are training for 3 months to play in the Manning Cup. And when they're done, that's it. How can you compete with those kids in Europe?
Impossible to compete.
Exactly. Impossible. But then you look at a man and him say, well, we do have the resources to do it. Or we do have this. You heard what I tell you, how the doctor can make him money?
Yeah. I don't
That
know
go
with
across
time.
the board,
With time, they will follow your.
If I'm going to receive something from you, Mr. Haughton, and I have to open my fist, I have to give to get. And that's how life is. And people are too unwilling to give up themselves to get.
You said something about funding, which I will kind of jump into this because this has been a major issue when it comes to funding in sports in Jamaica. The experts are saying it, the media houses are saying it. Everyone seems to be saying that funding is a major issue. It is alleged that certain entities get more than enough money to fund the more popular sports. And we, the people, don't seem to ever get an accountability as to where the money is going. What is going on? It's the same thing with track and field, it's the same thing with the cricket, there's the same thing with football.
Now, you know, one of the main reasons why I've been kept out of that group. First of all, you can't buy me because I make my own money. Second of all, anything that I find that is not correct, I'm going to tell you. So better you just keep that man outside of that China shop, because when they got a bull in that China shop, they match up everything.
Makes sense. Makes
But,
sense.
you know, what they have not gotten is if you properly invest that money that you get and develop the players. If there was 3 tiers of Jamaican football teams training, A team, B team, C team. A team, you have your internationals overseas. B team, you have your Premier League players. Yeah, and the C team is the top high school Manning Cup, younger, under 21 players. If you had those players training, the second 2 training, and you're going down under 17, under 15, under 13, your best players, and you're recruiting all island, and you have them training 2 days out of the week, like how Belgium did it. 2 days out of the week, you bring them in. So the facility at the Captain Morrell facility up at UWI would constantly be used. 2 o'clock, 2:30, the under 17s. 4:30, the under 19s. 6:30, the B. 8 o'clock, the C. 8 o'clock, the B. Right? You can utilize that, and you're training 2 days a week. Putting in a system, establishing a system, establishing a way to train, to behave. You think that you not going to make money, right? Right?
Yeah.
You think that we not going to make money transferring players
Lot of
that
money.
would turn around and give you more? You think that we're not going to win tournaments that going to give the JFF, for example, money from winning those tournaments? All right. I got up and I took my last little savings that I had, and I begged my friend Eddie Layton. And Eddie Layton gave me $1 million to take the boys to Europe. A butter and a box out of hog mouth for a while. Now, we have big transfers with Leon in Europe. We have Kemar Reed in Malta. We have Kyle Butler that was at the highest level before he chose a different way, and now he's back. And that's the greatest thing, you know. People say Kyle is now back with Phoenix and back training and refocus. But if you just thought about what I have accomplished as one man with very little resources and got this thing Phoenix going, just imagine what would happen if the JFF applied the same principles and developed our young talent, trained them, had them properly being educated by good educated coaches. You'd develop talent, you'd sell more talent, you'd make more money, the clubs would make more money, everybody would be happy, there'd be income coming in, the communities from which they came from would be getting the support like what Leon does with his community. You know, you just have a better Jamaica. A better Jamaica. But people are just so hell-bent on holding on to the little penny that they have that they cannot realize that investing that penny, opening your hand and giving a chance to people and the kids. No, they prefer to recruit just before the competition start. There's an under-20 competition that's supposed to come up. Yeah? Phoenix went to Europe and beat the under-19 champions of England. 7 goals to 4. It's not a one-love winning.
7-4.
7-4. So we totally outclassed and outscored them, which is my philosophy. My philosophy is I am going to outscore my opponent. I do not want to just win 1-0. I want to score a lot of goals because of the way we need to play. We need to play creative. We need to play to strength, to speed, to creativity, intelligence, unity of purpose, and go. Pressing game. And I can almost guarantee you that what they're going to do is to try and pick off maybe one or two of our best players and put them with the rest of players from all over the place who may not be anywhere near as good as the others that are available from Phoenix.
Mm.
And the reason is very simple. They believe that they have control over those players. So even though they're not good enough, they're going to take them and push them over the players that are accomplishing more because they want to be able to hopefully get those players a contract. Not realizing that if you don't prepare the players properly and they're not ready, no matter what you do, nobody going to buy them.
You see, the good thing, Craig, is that what you're doing, you have a family who is there to make sure that the vision is carried on. Because one of the things we know for sure, if you look on the history and the evidence, is that many of these individuals who are blocking what you're trying to do, that they too need to go and learn. We talk about making sure that some of the coaches get that right education. They need to go and get some of these educations too, because this education will help them to make better decisions. Because you touched on it, you talked about how much more income, revenues one could generate if they do this thing the right way. And I think that is not that they, well, I'm not speaking for them, but I can tell that if you look at the overall income that can be generated over a period of time, it's crazy what they're
Crazy
willing
money.
to settle with, because they're actually getting less than 0.1% of trillions when they could get way more than that. But earlier we touched on the topic of developing players and the athlete's mind. I want to go there with you because you seem like you focus a lot on the mind to make sure that whatever they do physically, that you're also integrating the mental training in their minds to get them to get the most out of their physical talent. What is your take on mental training and how
Very, very
important is
important.
it?
We worked with Leon and the other boys on something called visualization. Yeah.
Mhm.
Where they sit down and they close their eyes and they go through a process of seeing themselves 5 years from now. You know, what will it take to get them there? What are the steps? What are the goals? And their eyes are closed and they're seeing everything. And then they get up and they realize what they need to do. So that is important. Another thing that I do is it's very weird, and they attacked me for it the other day, and I went off. But they they attacked me for it. We're playing Manning Cup, and my players make a mistake. They kick the shot wide, or they kick it over the bar, or they elbow an opponent, and in the middle of the Manning Cup game, they have push-ups doing 10 push-ups, 20 push-ups. I don't care. And they're, how can you do this? Because you're doing psychological damage to the players. You're embarrassing them in the middle of Manning Cup. Well, that would be so if Manning Cup really meant that much in the bigger scheme of things to my players. Because our players see Manning Cup as just an opportunity to practice what we've been training on en route to becoming professional footballers. So we don't do a lot of physical training at Phoenix. What we do is we always have it. If you kick a shot wide, you get 10. If you kick it over the bar, you have 20. You know, if you do something that is unbecoming, you have 30 or 40. So when you look at our players, people say, oh, they're so fast and they're so big and they're so strong and they're so, pliable. They don't realize that sometimes doing training and the boys finish with all 600 push-ups and they don't realize that them do the 600 push-ups because they just kick a shot wide, then do 10. Kick another shot wide, then do another 10. And it's just not really affecting them. But when you look at them, the physique, when you look at their abdominals, we have sprint. Hey, Gregory, when we train, we do 6 back-to-back 400s every evening.
Wow.
Sprint one, walk one. Sprint one, walk one. Sprint one, walk one. And the man who is at the back, Man who come last, what am I want to do?
Push him.
Yeah. So it is not. You can get the players physically fit to a point, but what is that mentally doing to you?
Got you.
What is that saying? What is that? How powerful is your mind? Is your will at that point? When you are a runner and you reach the last 20 meters and you have to dig deep on a 400 meter, what gives you that extra edge? Would you get that extra edge from people petting you and oh, Gregory, you're the greatest guy since sliced bread, we love you? Or would you prefer a coach that's going to say, listen, push yourself, run, boy, lift up, keep your form, yeah, swing? That is the difference between what we do at Phoenix and what a lot of other people are doing. You know?
Well, we talk about the knowledge and the experience, though. And I think that people on the outside who really don't understand what you do, they don't really see the method, the strategy behind doing what you do. And one of the things I've learned is not to criticize something that I really don't know a lot about. And I think that your history is there for everyone to see. And I think that they may not be willing to participate now, but I'm sure that they are sitting there taking notes, because I know how our people think in terms of they want to win, but they just don't want to see like they're doing what you're saying because it will make them look weak. But I want to have another question for you, because this one is important to me and to the listeners, that in every sport at the elite level, which is what you're preparing your athletes them to do, there is always a deep mental dimension that must be tapped into to take the individual or the team to the next level. What are some of the fundamental things that must be in place when putting together a complete system that focuses on developing the mind to exhibit that mental toughness, but also to complete the intellectual view of the game? Because I hear you talk about the athletes not understanding the system, not understanding what they are to do, and it seems like they are relying mainly on strength and speed instead of understanding to the intellectual aspect that would make the physical talent even show.
It's so important because the players that are out there nowadays, yeah, he said they don't have fathers, and whoever had mothers, the mothers are sometimes so busy trying to find food for them and keep the roof over their head that they're not even being raised with any supervision or guidance. And the key to, as I've always said, is that education is the key to success. And education is not just from an academic standpoint. It is about knowledge. Philosophy is so important to impart to young players. Simple things. Aldous Huxley, treat a man as he is and he shall remain that way. Treat a man as he could become and he shall aspire towards it. It is not where a man is coming from, but where he's going to. You understand? These things constantly being imparted to the players, to the athletes, will motivate them to rise beyond their circumstance. The education of being able to read and write properly, and also to understand the psychology of the game, is key. Is key. And many of our players that we have at Phoenix, that's what we focus on. And also at the same time, I'm a monster, so when I coach you, I break you right down to nothing and rebuild you back. I break you down to nothing. I mean, I have my boys sometimes. I have a Jeep Wrangler, and I've been doing it. I've kept the same Jeep Wrangler for years, even though I have other cars. And sometimes I'm driving, and I say, okay, guys, we're running. I say, okay, guys, I'm out of gas. You need to push the car up the hill. And the whole team is pushing a Jeep Wrangler up the top of Stony Hill. When you look at these guys, and when it look like it's too easy, I said, Toya look tired, man. Jump in. Just add weight to it, you know. And you end up with kids that are just so powerful. I mean, right now in my Manning Cup game, the last Manning Cup game we played, I played a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old at attacking midfield. And they were just dominating. When I said dominate, I'm just dominate. And it's because they're so full of confidence, you know, that it's unbelievable. And the reason they have that confidence is they're bucketive. When they're out there, I remember, you ever watch that movie, The Lion King?
Yes, man, I love The Lion King.
You remember when Simba was surrounded by the hyenas and he eventually let out a roar and it sounded like a big giant lion and the hyenas cringe, but when they look, it was his father behind him.
Yeah.
He didn't realize that.
He had confidence though.
Yes, but the reason for that is because the support that he gets from the older people, from the other players, the older players, the belief and confidence. If you touch a Phoenix, man, the whole team will come for you.
Yeah. Mothers
are come from way over there, so the doctor come, the lawyer, the Indian chief, everybody coming in. You know, it's one unified body, and it's important that we start to do that as a country. I remember the closest person to get that going was Rene Simoes. He came out with a shirt that said Jesus saves in one of the international matches. I think it was a match we needed to win to go through. And he motivated the entire country to get behind that national. It's key that, for me, it's key that we do that as a nation, that we do that as developers of talent, you know. Yeah.
I'm not hearing you, Craig. No, not yet. I'm not hearing you. Well, hopefully Craig will come back because I have a surprise for him. I have 2 more questions I would like to ask him. But I hope you're tuning in. I hope you're understanding what he is saying, because the issues that he's talking about, we see a similar issue in West Indies cricket. We see a similar issue, the JFF. We see similar issues with the team sports. But we also see some of the issues even with the individual track and field, where there are better ways to do things. But because of the selfish nature of our people, that sometimes we tend to take the shortcuts where it benefits only one person. So I'm happy that Craig is here. I know it's late, Craig. I'm happy that you're comfortable. I have 2 more questions for you. I have a surprise at the end, but I want to get these 2 questions in. But I appreciate your patience. You talked about, I was listening to an interview recently, and you talked about having a tunnel vision when taking on certain tasks. For instance, athletes who desire to be great should focus exclusively on the things that would help them to improve in their task. I found that to be impressive, because I think that those who are great in their event, they don't stray away or do things that would affect their ability to be great. Would you please be so kind to elaborate on that point for me, please?
Well, it's very important. It even goes back to the idea of what I was saying about us training for 3 months in Jamaica as footballers and trying to compete with the Europeans that are training for 11 and a half months in their development. You know, um, if you're a footballer, focus on becoming a footballer. We've had people who have played football, done track and field, done cricket, and have never become that master. You know, um, jack of all trades, master of none. It's important that you refine your talent. You continuously refine, work at it every single day. In all aspects, on and off the pitch, and also what is also key is to surround yourself with people going in the same direction. You do not want to have people who are ready to go out and party every night and you want to become a professional footballer. That's not going to work. You know, I have had my own experience with one of my sons that followed that path, didn't listen, just wanted to hang out with the guys and dance all artists and to party and to also try being a professional footballer. It doesn't work. He eventually saw the error of his ways and he's back home and working on, giving it his final shot and making it happen. So, us as leaders, as parents, as coaches, as managers, have to be that constant reminder, you know, that person that's gonna say, listen, no, you can't do that. You have to work on what you need to work on. Because when you reach to a certain level in terms of your abilities and success in the sport, we tend to have a lot of fans. And those fans, they're not there to tell you when you're wrong. They're there to always kiss up to you and, oh, you're the greatest thing since sliced bread, and you're making
Bandwagonist, we call
yeah,
them
the
sometimes.
wagonist, and you're there making mistakes, and they're not willing to say it. So I've always had a position where with my players, I said, no new friends, no new friends. Stick with the ones you've had since you were young, because they knew you when you had nothing. They knew you when you were just coming up, and they worked with you and pushed you to get to where you are today. So those people that are coming on board today and wanting to say, oh, they're your friends and I'm ready to
Bandwagonist.
party with them and make us go out and buy this and but no. Focus. Why
Definitely.
do we do this? Do we do it for the money or do we do it for the love of the sport? Once you know that that is the case, surround yourself with people going in the same direction.
Definitely.
Discipline yourself. Yeah. Be strong. Yeah. Because that is where the biggest challenges are.
You have said a lot. One last question, then I'm going to get you out of here. I don't want you to go. When you answer the question, we're going to take you off camera because we have a surprise.
Wait. So one of my big sons here. Hello. Dante. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, man. Big baller, big center half.
Yes, man.
All right. Yeah, man.
So,
So
you said a whole lot. I want to see if you can summarize it this way. Could you state 3 of the facts that would make Greg Butler coaching and mentoring style different and more effective than the other coaches that are out there?
one of the main differences is education. Educated. Knowledge is power. I know what I'm doing because I've gotten it from the best. I've spent time learning from Rudy Vuller, Arian Robbins' father, the best in my craft. George Mendes is Cristiano Ronaldo's manager. Several meetings, calls, understanding and learning the coaching and the development and the business of football. The second thing is dedication to task, dedication to learning and to educating myself. And the last thing is loyalty. think loyalty is key. Loyalty to family and loyalty to my players. This is very important because I will never sell again. I will never tell a player,
Not hearing. No, not hearing. All right. So don't go yet. You can log out and log back in if you want, because we're going to close now. So log out and log back in. All right. Beautiful. I want you to listen, and hopefully you can run back this video. And I want you to listen carefully to one of the things, or a couple of the things that Craig is talking about, which is something that we need in Jamaica. He talks about loyalty. He talks about education, and he talks about being good at his craft. These are things that great leaders are made of, especially where we are in Jamaica right now. There is no way we can dig ourselves out of this rut that we found ourselves in if education is not at the forefront, if commitment to one's craft is not there, and if loyalty, and I'm not talking about being loyal to the wrong things. I'm talking about being loyal for the right reasons and the right thing. We as Jamaicans, we are at a point where if we don't start working together and appreciate those who are doing the right types of work to make the country move forward, then we will forever be where we are. I have a lot of respect for Craig. I understand what he's trying to do. I know that he's walking a lonely path. As he said, he has sacrificed family to achieve what he has achieved now. And for a person to be able to sacrifice family for the betterment of the country, it ties exactly into what President Kennedy says. Don't ask what your country can do for you, but what you are willing to do for your country. Craig, I thank you for being a part of our program. I have one gift for you, and then we're going to come back and then we're going to close. All right, let's go with the video.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Sean Layton.
Alright, Sean. So, what is your role in today's training session in particular?
To teach the trialists on how we play football at Phoenix.
Oh, so you basically say you're a leader, a young leader in the Phoenix program.
Yes.
Alright, tell me more about yourself as a footballer.
Well, I'm a wing. I can play any forward position, and I'm a very creative player, and I can take set pieces.
Oh, really? How old are you?
13.
Alright, thanks.
Greg, from my team, I just want to say I thank you for taking the time to hang out with us today. I totally appreciate and admire the things that you are doing. It has always been one of my goals to build a grassroots program. I've tried and I'm continue to doing my best to make it happen. That's why we have the Let's Talk with Dr. Greg, because we want others to be aware that we are here to stay just like you. What you are doing, you're changing lives. And it says that it starts just with one. And you have committed your time and sacrifice so much. And from us, I want you to know that I fully support what you're doing. I fully appreciate what you're doing. And it's not just me, you touch lives all over. So before we go, we leave you with the final words, the final thoughts. Anything that is on your heart and your mind that you want to share with us, feel free to do so.
You know, I want to thank you so much for those kind words. Thank you for the video. In fact, that little boy that you saw played in the Manning Cup and destroyed an opponent, that little 13-year-old. So, and funny, he's the son of Eddie Layton, who was the person who gave me that $1 million to go with the original boys.
Excellent.
So he's a prodigy. Life is funny, you know. I think the most important thing I can share with you or anybody else is that love conquers all things. And when you love, you sometimes have to love from a place of being tough and hard and dedicate yourself to what you know is right, no matter what comes with it, no matter how much you're paying, no matter how much people don't believe in you, no matter how much they badmouth you. If you know what you're doing is right, you do it. I almost lost one of my sons, Kyle. And he went through a very difficult time where he was confused as to what he was doing in his life and where he wanted to be, and and what was important. It's very difficult when you have one brother that is succeeding and the other one is struggling and everybody is giving him a fight, and it really affected him, and I almost lost him. Many people would say after the things that were said and done that I should turn my back, but I would never turn my back on family. I will never turn my back on my country. I'll always continue to do what I believe is the right thing. And if we can all take that same approach, no matter how painful it is, we'll have a better Jamaica and better Jamaicans out there. What bothers me a lot is so many of us Jamaicans have so much to give, so much inside that we could share and pass on to our younger generation. And we don't realize that we're only here for a blink of an eye. By the time you blink, I remember when I blinked my eye and I had all these gray hairs. But we're only here for a short period of time. And if we were to just try and give back before we go, understanding that we would not necessarily get the benefit of the tree that we plant, but the children that come after us will get it, and our countrymen will get it. We need to plant those trees so that we can have a better country and a more successful country. Thank you for the opportunity, and I wish you all a great night.
Thank you very much, Craig, and may God continue to bless and keep you and your family safe. Thank you for coming, and we will talk again. What good.
Respect.